from the writings of Binyamin Zev Kahane. I entitled this video A Two-State Solution because I have been enlightened, and I do truly believe now in a two-state solution. So let me read from Binyamin's writings, and we're going to find out a little bit exactly about this two-state solution. Okay, this is from the final writing of Binyamin Zev Kahane, a blessed memory. It was written only a few weeks before his murder, and is translated by my friend Daniel Pinner. Binyamin Kahane's parting message was for the settlers to take matters in their own hands. The daily murder of Jews, coupled with the futility of the IDF, caused Binyamin to come up with the conclusion that the settlers will inevitably have to fend for themselves. And that's a good thing. Binyamin had already met with key people in Samaria, the area of Gav Hahar, which includes the settlements of Tapuach, Yitzhar, Itamar, Ha-Habracha, and Elian Amoreh, to help implement his plan. He felt that these settlements were more apt to agree with his approach and more willing to cut the IDF umbilical cord. He had just begun a speaking tour at various settlements to bring his idea over. The fact that he started going public after so many years of spreading ideas quietly is proof of how much he believed in this idea. In his last shurim, in his Parsha sheets, and during his speaking tour in the States, he also emphasized this message, tying it with Hanukkah. The miracle of Hanukkah was that the Jews were ready to fight. Below is a letter he planned to circulate among the settlers, and it was read at his funeral by Rabbi Yehuda Richter. To my dear brothers and friends living in the mountains of Judea and Samaria, the situation currently facing us demands that we courageously reassess that we have believed until now. The issue before us is no longer just the fundamental problem of Chilul Hashem, which is the desecration of Hashem's name, and Jewish humiliation. More, it is now a simple issue of straightforward security that involves each and every one of us. Living in the mountains of Judea and Samaria, we are truly fortunate in that we comprise a community that, for the overwhelming majority, fears its God and loves its nation unstingingly, and it is prepared for self-sacrifice. At this time of unrelenting strife, violence, and all but a declared war, this faith grants us an insuperable advantage over those who live in ostensibly safer areas. The capitulation of Joseph's tomb on Shabbat Teshuvah, the Sabbath of penance, shocked us all to the very depths of our souls. But truth tell, few, if any of us, were really surprised, particularly after the IDF gave the broadest possible hints of their intention just a few days earlier. The situation today is difficult and complex. On one hand, we are fully prepared physically, emotionally, and spiritually to retain Jewish control over the Jewish homeland, maybe more prepared than any other sector in Israeli society. On the other hand, the IDF is being exposed with all the goodwill as a confused body, lacking direction and ideology, and above all, with no faith in God. Additionally, we daily witness Jews throughout the land spontaneously rising, the plain meaning of which is that they are sick of the current government and the situation that it has wrought, and that they yearn for a determined leader who will steer the state along a truly Jewish path. Together with this simple act of individual Jews from all the settlements, such as blocking roads to Arab vehicles, are more successful in casting fear over the Arabs than the IDF with all its APCs, jeeps, bulletproof vests, inconsequential patrols, and bewildered commanders. And in light of all these facts and their implications, we, the inhabitants, are determined to remain. We refuse to surrender, to hold our land, even as we refuse to acquiesce in the continuing humiliation of of the nation of Israel and the desecration of the name of God. My suggestion is as follows. Based upon the facts that I have outlined above, all the settlements on the mountain ridge running north to south along the length of Judea and Samaria must conjoin with each other, forming a united leadership. This will immediately broadcast an unequivocal message to the IDF. Just as you abandoned the tomb of Joseph in Shechem, so too please abandon us. Abandon the entire mountain range whereon we live. This must be stated politely, calmly and rationally. Clearly you do not want to be here. You obviously do not understand what you are doing here. And you have no overall aims whatsoever beyond the immediate aim of enforcing order. There is no purpose at all, under these circumstances, in forcing you to remain here. We who live here are ready and willing to take full responsibility for this area upon ourselves. Just allow us this responsibility. As we all know, the government fully intended, in any event, to abandon virtually all of this region to the Arabs, if only Arafat, may his memory be erased, would have deigned to agree to their designs. So please, hand over the land to us. By the grace of God, here in these mountains, we have a wonderful youth and highly trained military personnel whose morale is high. They will gladly accept this responsibility upon themselves. Ultimately, they will take to their duties enthusiastically, and what is more important, with the faith in God who has given us this land. Just leave us the arms, and if not, we will nevertheless succeed, and Hashem will be our strength. Without the slightest doubt, the Arab denizens will be terrified merely to hear the news. Authority here will no longer rest in the shackled army, for it has been so long the punching bag of Arab hooligans. Rather, those monstrous settlers. And thank God the Arab media portrays us as the devil incarnate, if not worse, will now take charge. Without the slightest shadow of doubt, in such a step it would clear the air here. There would be a complete about-face. This news will, for the first time in too many years, attract youths in the hundreds, at least, I think in the thousands, who would come here to help. At long last, there will be a genuine Yeshuv Haaretz, settling of the land of Israel, and the beginning of a Jewish sovereignty over the land of Israel. This will put an end to the confusing stammering and steadfast search for ways of handing over the land to the enemies of God, which have been the greatest obstacles to the mitzvah which we are fulfilling here with our very being. Can we even begin to imagine the inspiration that this earth-shaking news would give to so many Jews, both secular and religious? In Israel and abroad, it has been far too long since we experienced that deep and stirring feeling of Jewish national pride. This is truly revolutionary, but it is far less revolutionary than the changes that have been wrought in the reality of Israel in the past few weeks, and we have nothing to lose. Even if the IDF does not accept this proposal, as can be expected, at least in the initial stage, then at the very least the military command and the government will realize that there is an additional and serious force on the ground, a force which they ignore at their peril. Furthermore, for reasons of its own security, the IDF will want to prove that it can protect civilians. Consequently, it will act more determined, at least so far as is capable within the limitations imposed by the fear of the Gentiles, the United States, and the left, which shackles it. None of this entails separating ourselves from society. To the contrary, we will remain a part of Israeli society, willing at a moment's notice to rejoin, by agreement that the state, which has until now refused for 33 years to annex us. We speak here not of separation, but of additional Jewish sovereignty over part of the land which has been too long abandoned. We act for the good of the nation of Israel, for the good of the state of Israel, and for the sake of the family's safety. Above all, we act for the sake of Kiddush Hashem, which is a blessing of Hashem, and the sanctification of God's name in eradicating its desecration until the hour of our final redemption. In the brief couple of moments I have left due to YouTube's restrictions and the time, what Binyamin is basically saying is, let's take the state of Israel, just like, let's say, United States. And let's take the areas of Judea and Samaria and create states within the country of Israel. In other words, like a New York and a New Jersey would be Judea and Samaria in and within the borders of the nation of Israel. This is a matter which I believe is the two states, the two-state solution, the two states being, of course, Judea and Samaria. I believe this video should be given out as much as possible, and the words of Binyamin, of course, can be reprinted everywhere. May God help us, bless us, and, of course, bless this cause.